top of a vehicle, of course, my thought is, one, you want to, it don't hurt to look up and from time to time make sure everything is secure. Kind of wiggle it, make sure you don't hear any rattling type deals. Because my thought process is that kayak or canoe, especially a canoe, would create a lot of drag, and the wind may tend to lift it up. So if your roof rack's not good and secure, you may have an issue.
Yes, sir.
Now, what areas do you normally strap the kayak or canoe down at? Do you put them on each side of it, or do you put one in the front and one in the back, or what do you normally do?
With a canoe, especially because of the way they're designed, the wind will start to move it back and forth. It's best to strap it, around the middle in 2 points, and then you want one in the front, and you want one in the back, and that's going to keep the wind from moving it around too much. Now, if you're not going terribly far, you can get away with just doing straps around the middle of the boat, 2 of them, 2 points. You don't ever want to just strap it one time, because then, it could twist around on top of your car.
Yeah. I noticed that Honda Pilot, he did have one in the front of the vehicle, one in the back of the vehicle, and then one, he evidently had some across the middle there, because it was still underneath the car. Now, I noticed something else that he had, and I think this would be a good suggestion for anybody that's strapping something like that down, would be some foam. Have some foam with you, and it looked like he was using a noodle, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, and I imagine he was just doing that to protect his vehicle from getting scratched up. Yep.
Yeah, that's the part I'm looking at, because you got to figure that you're going to have a little bit of movement there from time to time, and with that movement that you have, you don't want a rope or especially a nylon type rope moving back and forth and messing up the paint or anything like that on the vehicle.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and my guess is when your first time of strapping a kayak down, you have to get used to where to put the straps, where to put them on the car once you strap them down. But more than likely, once you get that system down, you could probably do it reasonably fast.
Yeah, super fast. Once you get the hang of it, it's one of the best things to know right off the hand is typically people will put them upside down, and that's to protect the boat itself. If you were to put it right side up with the bottom of the kayak on your roof rack, typically it'll start to damage the bottom of the boat, like bending it in. So if the top of the boat is more structurally tight, so when you put it upside down, you run the straps around it, it's got more of a look, the right word I'm looking for is, but it's not going to bend the kayak.
More stable.
Yeah, more stable, more secure, more. Yeah.
Okay. There was a question I had, because you obviously love this also.
Oh, yeah.
You can tell. Now, what's one of the more memorable things that you have done, or places that you've been on kayaks or canoes stand out?
My parents got me into this at a very young age. Bill and Pat Colbert are my parents. They've always been big into the outdoors and kayaking. We used to go to a place called the Broad River, is in Royston. And they took me up there as a youngster, and it's got mild whitewater, nothing too crazy. So, I got a good taste of rapids and, kayaking at a pretty young age. And, that place always holds a dear, spot in my heart. And it's crazy to watch it over the years. Our ecosystem goes through droughts and floods and whatnot. And, back then, it was just this wide open landscape. And I did it not too long ago, and there's so many trees and stuff was growing up with islands that were exposed for over a year. Big trees and stuff are there now, but still a place it's called the Broad River Outpost. If anybody ever wanted to go check them out, this guy Mike Mooney owns the place.
Now, what state is that in, or what?
That's in Georgia.
Georgia.
It's around Elberton area. So Royston's in between Elberton and Livonia.
Okay,
I believe. But.
Well, those listening that are able to travel to that area is good, but you can just about bet that there's a great area to go to wherever you're listening to this show. Just get to know some of the people that do this. If you're interested in this sport, then get to know others that do it, and you can get some great tips. You can find about great places to go. Now, Andy, when we get back, I would love to know a little bit about some of the things that people would need to carry, like if they were like those that are coming here, or those that are going on a trip somewhere else, what type of things do they need to pack for? And also, I'd love to talk about camping and kayaking a little bit, because I've done that before, and that, not kayaking, but I think I was in a canoe.
3 minute stations, 3 minutes.
So I think that I'd love to hear a little bit more about that. So we'll do that as soon as we'll return with more of the C&C Auto Show.
All right.
Here in Evans, Georgia, I have Andy Colbert here. And Andy, the name of the event that we got going on here today.
This is the 3rd annual Betty's Bash Paddle Race and Music Festival.
All right. And we have had a great time here so far, because, I mean, all of these cars, the parking lot's full of people. There have been boats loading kayaks into the water on a regular basis. I've seen some canoes. We've talked to Shugs and Amy.
Oh, yeah.
And just been having a great time. And I hear that there's a band here tonight also. Is that correct?
We've got Easily Amused, the Dusty Angels, and my band, the Mason Jars, as well as a comedian coming out. His name's Cedric.
Oh, that is going to be awesome.
Too cool.
Yeah, that is going to be a lot of fun. Okay, I want to lay a second tech tip quiz out on the table.
All right.
And once we do that, I was hoping that you would tell me a little bit about some of the things that people would need to bring if they were kayaking, or some items that they could would be make it just more fun for them. So, of course, the winner will receive the tech tip quiz prize winnings, which includes a coffee mug and a shirt.
All right.
It's kind of huge. It's a big deal. You see them on eBay all the time. Okay, Robert had a great weekend planned. He left work early in Franklin, Tennessee on Friday, got his canoe loaded on his 2020 Tahoe, and had planned to meet his friends a few hours away. Then his accountant called and said he had to sign some tax papers at his office in Nashville. He signed the tax papers on time, so he did not have to pay a penalty, and his accountant did not charge him anything, but it ended up costing him over $1,000. Why did it still cost him over $1,000? And if someone knows the answer to that, give us a call. Again, number 800-224-9090. Or if you have a question about your car, truck, or SUV, you can give us a call at that same number. Andy, what's some items that it would be good for a person to bring with them if they had planned to either kayak, canoe, or wakeboard, or things like that?
Always first things first, when you're dealing with water safety, you want to make sure you have a life jacket that fits you properly. If you're a child 12 and under, you always have to wear it. Any adult, you always have to have one per adult on the vessel. Otherwise, make sure you got your water. A lot of people will bring, their a little small cooler, some snacks. I like keeping my food light when I'm out on the river, because you typically sunburn a lot easier if you're trying to process a hamburger out there on the water. It's not good for you. Bringing some oranges, or fresh fruits, something to keep you energized. Protein.
Yeah, you kind of experience in nature anyway. You want to kind of
absolutely
be a little bit healthy there while you're out there. Now, I don't know, because to tell you the truth, I don't think that I've been in kayaks before. But do they have a little waterproof area, or do you bring something that is waterproof where you can keep a cell phone in case you need it, or something like that?
Absolutely. Some kayaks do. I don't ever trust those dry wells, because they never end up being dry. Water finds its way into anything.
Yeah.
But yes, a dry bag is essential too, especially nowadays. Everybody's got a cell phone, so you want to keep that. They make particular bags that are made for cell phones as well, that could hang around your neck if you really, or maybe you're on call. I got some nurses and people that are on call that come down here sometimes. They don't paddle out too far, but they got to make sure that when they do, they can come back quick. But yeah, a dry bag is an essential part. Your life jacket, snacks.
So it's one that just goes around, and I imagine it floats.
It's got, some of them do have a rim around them that's a little air pocket, but it's got a lanyard. You just hang it on your. It snaps in at the top, and you can still use it, do touch screen and everything.
Okay,
that's pretty cool.
So maybe a cell phone. Now, as far as the vehicles go, one thing I thought about on my end, I think it's a great idea for people to have their vehicle checked out before they plan to go somewhere, because many times you might be now this area you have here, You're around a lot of other people. If you ran into any kind of vehicle problem, you'd have more than enough people that would help you in any way that they could. You can tell how friendly they are. But there's always a chance that you might be out in the woods somewhere, and you have your kayak loaded out in the water, and then you come back and you get back in, and the battery be dead. So I think it's a good idea to have a vehicle checked out. A lot of the things, if people wanted to, they could check out themselves. They don't. Some people are kind of handy with checking their own cars out, but it's a good idea before you go. Just look at the very minimum. Just look at your battery. I mean,
Absolutely.
If it's 4 or 5 years old, you might want to go ahead and get another one, because I promise you it's not going to get better in time.
No.
So look at your battery, look at your belts, your hoses, make sure your fluid levels are good, and make sure that your socket works that charges your cell phone. And I always recommend on most cars to have a little spare charger stuck in your glove box, because sure as the world, your battery, for some reason your phone didn't charge good and your battery was almost dead, and you've got your map up to where you're using it for your map and for your GPS, and all of a sudden the battery's almost dead.
Absolutely. And that's another thing. If you're taking a long trip out on the water and you are using your GPS a lot, that's going to run your battery down considerably. So having one of those chargers, I've definitely, if I've done a multi-day trip or even a long trip during the day, I make sure that I bring a portable charger with me as well.
Yeah, and they make those little an extra battery pack that you can plug into your phone to recharge your battery with.
Absolutely.
I ran into something like that. I was in Nashville last week, and when I was there, for whatever reason, my phone didn't charge good, and my phone just cut off, and I got it plugged in, and I was coming up on an exit. And with it, I said, oh, no, I'm going to pass my exit because I don't have any idea where to turn. The phone come to life 1 mile before the exit was there, and I said, boom, and I got in there. But I think it's important to have some form of cell phone use when you can. Now, sometimes you're going into places that you don't have any reception, but that's a good idea. Also, it don't hurt if you're doing things like that to have a little air inflator in the back of your car. If you come out and your tire's low or flat, you got a way to pump it back up if you can, as opposed to having to stop and put another tire on there. That would be a hassle. And then maybe even consider, if you do this a lot and you may see a need for it, some people keep a jumper box, a regular one that they can put on their car battery to keep it charged up. But just in short, look around for things that you can prepare for, so you can make every trip that you go to more enjoyable, because all it takes is little mechanical items to mess up a great trip.
Yeah, absolutely. And you end up some sticky situations trying to find the put-ins for different river areas too. Like you said earlier, you might get to a spot that you're 5 miles from the next person that you're ever going to see. So
now we'll be covering this one last time at the end of the show, but also I don't want to forget it, because sometimes the next thing you know, boom, you blink your eyes, the show's gone. If someone wanted to contact you, what would be the best way to contact you?
706-399-4037 is the phone number here at Outdoor Augusta. And any questions anyone has about, even if you want to learn how to strap a kayak to your car, we happy to show you. We've showed countless people how to strap their particular kayaks to their particular car. Sometimes it's a different situation with different vessels and different cars types and racks. But yeah, 25 Dolphin Way is our address here in Evans, Georgia. And yeah, we try to be a wealth of knowledge for people. We're a business, of course, but we are here for the community. That's what we pride ourselves on, is being here with the information that people need. I've been kayaking this area since I was 7 years old, so great. I know every nook and cranny.
Well, I also want to mention a few things about cars as we're talking. And, of course, this time of year, one of the things I want to mention is people see a little button with a little twirl on it on their AC unit in their car. And I thought this would be a great time to talk about that, because you have all these cars sitting out in the parking lot. And many of them, when they come in, they'll be hot and they'll want to cool off as soon as possible. Now, the little button that you see with the little twirly mark is the recirculation button. And a lot of people are not completely clear what the recirculation button is for. Well, we'll mention what the recirculation button is for as soon as we return with more of the C&C Auto Show.
It's a cliffhanger.
Have this paddling event, or paddling race actually, and it is crazy the number of people that are here that are unloading kayaks. There's one just in front of me, a beautiful Jeep Wrangler, by the way. And they have a roof rack. They have their back end of the Jeep Wrangler open, and they have the kayak sitting directly behind it, and they are evidently getting ready to carry it out to the water.
That's pretty cool. That actually looks like a snap-in system, because she takes her top off and then puts that rack on there, which is pretty cool. Because it doesn't look like, because it wouldn't be, you couldn't put your top on there with that.
You
that
are
rack
absolutely right.
It's pretty cool. I've actually never seen that before.
Yeah.
There's always some new inventions coming around.
Yeah.
Another cool thing I see, especially for people that have back glass, there's a suction cup thing that you can stick on there. It's got a roller on it, so you can put the front of your boat up and roll it up on the top of the car, as opposed to just trying to hook it up
Because
there.
sometimes if you're on, well, especially a canoe, but sometimes on a kayak, it can take two people to get them up there in some cases, and then of course to strap them down. But you say they make a deal to where you can just lay it there and just roll it up to the front.
Exactly, without breaking your back glass, which is great.
Yeah, that is a very nice thing. And looks like she's putting on some suntan lotion, getting ready to go out on the water there. Of course, that is a different setup there. I'm sure a lot of people may want to consider something like that, where you take the top off and then you snap on the little, look like already foamed in items.
Yeah.
So there's not much way that's going to cause any damage to your vehicle at all.
No, that's perfect.
And you're able to make it work with just a Jeep. And I'm sure there's a lot of others. Now, you mentioned that you had an unusual setup to carry kayaks and canoes with. What do you use?
We were fortunate enough to be one of the businesses that stayed open and was charging during COVID, and I was able to purchase a 1998 Bluebird International school bus that has been modified from, a full-size school bus. They took the back half, cut it down to about a 16-passenger. Now it's got a flatbed on the back with 4 poles and a rack system where we can carry about 15 to 20 boats, just depending on the sizes, and still have 16 passengers.
And what are you using it for right now?
That is going to be the stage for our concert this evening, which is pretty awesome that we were able to do that. And I spent about a full day building a PVC pipe roof on the top. Now we have a big 20 by 30 tarp strapped to the top of the roof, and it's going to serve as shade and hopefully ward the rain.
I love things like that when you repurpose something and make it, bring it back to life under another purpose. And it looked like you did that beautifully. We went up there and looked at the bus a little earlier, and right now it's a stage. Other times it can be to carry kayaks to different places. And I imagine that you have that, so if someone was to put in one place, you could go to another and pick them all up.
Yep, we offer the dam route as well. So we take people from here. They park at Betty's Branch. We take them to the dam at Clarks Hill. They put in, float about 8 miles down to here.
Oh, wow.
Pretty awesome.
Okay. So that would be a 8-mile run. How long would it normally take someone to go about 8 miles like that?
Right now the water is low and not moving at all, so it would probably take you about 3.5 hours.
Okay.
Now, later in the afternoon, they start generating power from that dam, and the water rises, and it could take you an hour and a half. When that water's really pumping, you're flying.
So the water will be flowing down through there. Now, for those that enjoy doing things like white water and things like that, where are some places a person could go to whitewater? And is that something that a person without experience should conquer?
Yeah, if you were going to get into the world of whitewater, I would suggest going to a place called the Nantahala River. They have a big outdoor center there where you could take classes. You could take a raft down first time, or you can take classes in whitewater kayaking and really learn the ropes. And it's a good river to learn on. one of the most world-class whitewater rivers is here in the southeast. It's called the Chattooga River. It borders South Carolina and Georgia and Long Creek, South Carolina, around Lake Clayton, Georgia. Absolutely beautiful, Class 5 rapids, big giant canyon that you go through at one point. I used to go down that river a lot when I was younger. But I would highly suggest people take a family outing, or if you just want to get into whitewater kayaking, going up to the Nantahala Gorge and taking some instruction up there.
That's what I was thinking. It would probably be good to get some instruction before jumping in and doing something like that. And you mentioned before, I thought that was a real good suggestion, and I think it would be important, and is to have someone show you the best way to strap down something like a kayak or canoe, and it will save you so much time, and it may even save you from a catastrophe somewhere.
Yes, absolutely.
Because it's not good to be on a big 4-lane highway or 6-lane highway and look back and see your kayak flying through the air.
No, it's not. I've been there. It's not a good thing.
That's probably something that would stick in your mind pretty good. So I do think that it's a good idea if people do that. And there's whatever area you're in, there's people that do that, because this is a love sport. We have another group of people right up in front of us there that looks like they got about 2 or 3 kayaks that they getting ready. And from what and there's a paddleboard, it looks like. So it looks like to me that the majority of the people, instead of just backing the boat or the vehicle up to the water to let it come out into the water, they just unload it in the parking lot and carry it out there.
Yeah, and I mean, you think about it, this boat ramp is kind of a tight spot, so there's a lot going on down there. It is best if you got you in your family or your partner or whatever, and you can walk it. I mean, why not? So it saves a lot of space down there. But I mean, you're allowed to drive right up down to the water down there and unload at least, and then just go find a parking spot.
And it looks like this is kind of a family sport. You mentioned that you grew up with your family learning things about this, and I see there's a family right up there that their kids are watching them unload the boats. The little girl sitting on the kayak, and looks like all of them are kind of getting ready to have a family day together. So this is a good chance for the family to get together.
Absolutely. This is a wonderful place for beginners too to come out here. This water is calm, it's flat. You can go out, and there's no shuttle service involved here other than if you wanted to go to the dam. But if you wanted to just go out and paddle for 15 minutes, you can just turn around and come back. If you want to go out there for multiple hours, you can go out and
now here's some of the things that I want to use as an example. We got here, this is just a Honda Accord.
Yeah.
And 4-door Honda Accord, they have the kayak on top. So you don't necessarily need to have some specialized vehicle like a Jeep or a Sprinter van or a Tahoe or something like that. You can even transport one of these with a normal family car and get to the place you're looking for. Andy, we are just about running out of time. Man, this has been a ball.
Yeah,
I've loved this.
Fun. This is awesome.
Yeah, and that's what I love about being able to do this show, is I get to talk to so many fantastic people. But it is time to pull up to the dock and load this week's show back on the car. We're going to put it on the roof rack. I want to say thank you to you, Andy. I want to and be sure to tell Amy that I said thank you also. And Shugs, she was absolutely fantastic, and enjoyed talking to all of you. I want to give a big thank you to our show producer, Mason Rogers, and he makes a lot of this happen. And we hope that you found our advice informative. Stay with us on next week's show for more tips, more tricks, and more of the C&C Auto Show.